Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Just One More Level podcast. I'm your co-host, Christian.
And I am your co-host, John.
And this week we played a little bit of a long-requested game on the channel, actually, or on the podcast, whatever you want to call it. Cuphead, man. Oh my god. When did Cuphead come out? Do you remember?
No, not off the top of my head. I think it was around 2016.
2016-ish? That sounds about
Somewhere
right.
around there.
I don't remember
but
either.
it was long awaited before that. I remember it being revealed a few years before that.
Right.
And pictures of it circulated around the internet. I remember a lot of people talking about the story. Like, these developers are getting together this game, and it's going to be released.
If I remember correctly.
Sure.
They used to make games as kids. I watched a little bit of a documentary on the making of, but I haven't gotten around to finishing it. Just
Was it like was it the crowdfunding video? I remember that going around for a while.
I think it was NoClip did one, but it might have been someone else. I don't honestly remember. Shout out to NoClip if anybody doesn't know what they are, but likes video games and documentaries. Dude, check out NoClip. They make some amazing things, and they deserve all of the attention, all of the shout outs. Anyways, nice. Yeah. So like I think they were like developer brothers that used to make games as kids, and then life happened. They got their own jobs. I think one was like an ad manager for some sort of company, and the other one did engineering or something like that. Okay. And then the one brother was just like fact checked all of this, people of the internet, because I could be misremembering everything. But one of them was like, we should make a video game. Like these all these video games and indie games are blowing up. So like they started to try, and they figured out this is fucking hard.
Right.
But eventually they got there, right? It took some time, it took some help, but sooner or later they got there to critical acclaim, honestly. And and
well deserved, I think.
Yes, yeah, honestly. And I mean, okay, so let's just get the elephant of the room. The thing everyone always talks about with Cuphead. Let's just get that out right in the front, man. The game is beautiful. It's 100% like hand-drawn, old cartoon style graphics. They have
100%.
filters. 100%. Everything. Foreground, background, characters. Doesn't matter what it is. And they have
animations. All of the animations, all of the attacks. Everything. All of the projectiles, objects on the screen,
fantastic.
Every art asset is hand drawn. Every frame of animation.
Yes.
Everything.
And they have filters on the video on the screen the entire time. So it's like the old VHS tape or whatever is crackling a little bit. There's little lines and blips and bloops like it's being played over film
reels
or
of film.
An old VHS tape or something like that.
Crackling reels of film.
And that also translates into the music as well. The music sounds almost like it's being played on a record of some sort. There's little cracks in the
gramophone.
Yeah, it has a little bit of that warm sound, for instance, that people talk about with records. Everything just looks and sounds old, but super crisp at the same time. Like it's obvious that it's new, right? That it's something that was produced in this day and age. But they did a really good job of emulating that I don't even know the era, but the classic cartoons that they were going for. And that's to say nothing about the gameplay. Like holy
right. So you got Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies back in the day. I was actually watching some Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies YouTube videos the other day. They have those YouTube.
Sorry to interrupt. What are Merry Melodies? I know Looney Tunes, of course, but I've never heard of the Merry Melodies.
Same thing. It's a bit complicated from what I understand. Basically, Merry Melodies was like a smaller subsidiary company within Warner Brothers or something, and Looney Tunes eventually kind of absorbed all of the characters from Merry Melodies.
Okay.
And then now it's all just like one thing. It's
okay.
far more complicated than that because I couldn't even understand it. I was trying to read how the company had changed hands back and forth, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, but I found a really fun cartoon actually called it was the origin of Tweety Bird. I forget what it was called specifically, but it was the origin of Tweety Bird. Before he was Tweety Bird, he wasn't called Tweety Bird. He was just a bird in this cartoon. And the two cat characters, instead of one, Sylvester the cat,
Stallone.
It was Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
It was two cats, and they were Babbitt and Cat Stello.
Of course, yeah. What else
And
would they do?
right, and they acted, they went around acting like Abbott and Costello for the whole thing, and they had like a whole like duo bit, and it was great. It was so funny. I couldn't believe how funny it actually was. Like I was watching those cartoons for like an hour probably.
I grew up with like Tom and Jerry, and I did watch
Yeah,
a
me
little
too.
bit of
Yeah,
Looney
yeah.
Tunes and whatnot. And honestly, I
Looney
get
Tunes too.
nostalgic about it sometimes.
Boomerang.
Yeah, like those. Honest, they were fun, right? Like
Yeah.
that they were just
Slapstick.
stupid fun. That's all they were. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I it's having a bit of a resurgence, I guess, because like there's that Tom and Jerry movie that just came out. I haven't watched it, but
Sure,
it's,
yeah.
you know, I'm presumably in a similar style to classic Tom and Jerry.
It's all on HBO Max. I know. Not
cool.
only the
I did pick it
90s.
up. Like I own a copy. I just haven't gotten around to watching it. But
Yeah, not only like the 90s and 2000s era cartoons from like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and different things are on streaming services now, but like I said, Looney Tunes is on HBO Max. Like I'm talking like dozens of seasons.
is it
of
still
Looney Tunes.
like? Have you checked today? I don't remember the full list of things that were taken off, but I know a lot of stuff was recently taken off HBO Max because they're
Was it?
supposedly
Okay.
merging with it's either with Paramount Plus, I think, is what they're merging HBO Max with.
Oh.
Is what the industry is saying because Warner Brothers like bought HBO or something. I don't know.
Oh, for goodness
It's like
sakes.
Warner Brothers Discovery Limited or
Stop it.
whatever now. They're one company. What
Stop
confuses
it.
me about the whole thing though, like I'm reading a little bit about this stuff. There's
Uh-huh.
also Discovery Plus is a platform as well.
Yeah.
So like are they going to get rid of that
Right.
and merge that into it all? I don't know. But anyways,
Are we just gonna go back to cable? What's going on here?
I'm pro streaming services merging together, honestly, because we have way too many. There's way too many. Things were
I know, but
great.
that
They were
was-
amazing when it was Netflix. That was your streaming
Mhm.
service. Netflix and to some degree Hulu. Hulu was mostly if you wanted up-to-date TV shows, right? And then Netflix was everything else. All of your old TV shows, all of your old movies, a handful of up-to-date TV shows.
Yeah.
Those were the days. That was the golden age of streaming, right? And now I guess you didn't have as much cool original content back then, but still,
Yeah.
you weren't paying for 16 different streaming services, which,
Right.
as you alluded to, is as bad as fucking cable. Like,
Yeah, like it's
stupid.
just cable all over again. Like they tried to create a cool hip indie alternative to cable, and it just became cable. And all
Basically,
it,
yeah.
and it only took 10 years. It only took 10 years. I
It's
subscribed to Netflix in 2012, Christian.
I still
and I
prefer-
paid $7.99 a month.
I
I'm
still
paying
prefer
like
the way
$20
things
a month.
are now
Yeah.
to cable though, because like cable is like for the good package like $100 a month or something stupid, and
Right.
and you have to watch ads on top of everything. Like
They're
at
gonna
least with the
start
streaming
adding
packages,
ads.
maybe. And for most of the platforms, that's like a different paid tier, right? Like you can have $5 off
Yeah.
a month, but you have to watch ads, or just
Uh-huh.
give us an extra $5 and you don't have to watch ads. And
Right.
I'm pro that sort of thing. Like I'm
Okay.
perfectly fine. I would rather subscribe to 10 different streaming services for $50-$60 a month total instead of paying $100 for the same things that I'd be watching on streaming but with ads regardless of if I want to or not, and an extra like 100 channels that I'm never going to watch. Like
Right.
I still think it's better, but
Right.
it is getting worse by the day for sure. But regardless, this is a video game we're talking about now.
We're talking about Cuphead. Okay,
Cuphead,
so
yeah, that's where
next-
this came from.
okay, so real brief, Christian. I'll just run through
Right.
the story real quick as far
Sure,
as I
yeah, why
understand
not?
it
Why
from
not?
the first part of the game
Yeah.
here. Story is very brief and very simple. You are two anthropomorphized cups. Cuphead and Mugman. There's a two-player mode. You could play with a friend and be Mugman and Cuphead. And I'm not
Cuphead.
sure about the new DLC because I didn't explore it.
Mhm.
I did buy the combo with the DLC.
I haven't yet
included.
because I was iffy about the game from a
Okay.
gameplay perspective, just with my personal
Okay.
taste. But we'll get
Gotcha.
into that in a moment.
Right. So yeah, I bought the combo with the DLC because I figured that I would get into it and enjoy it, which I did. So I'm glad that I picked that up. But oh my gosh, whatchamacallit. Anyway, the two characters, Cuphead and Mugman,
Mm-hmm.
are running around doing their thing, living their merry old cartoon life, and their papa, their paternal figure, a kettle, told them to not go to the casino and gamble all their money.
Did they
and
listen?
They did. They didn't listen. They went to the casino and gambled all their money, and the devil runs the casino.
Of course he does.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the devil said, "It's fine. You don't have to pay me back, but I get your souls." And they did it. And they gave the devil their souls, and then they were screwed. He said, "It's fine. If you collect all of these other souls that are owed, you're off the hook. You bring me these other souls, we'll call it even. We'll forget about your souls." Which immediately made me think, I think that's kind of funny, right? Because he says, you have to go and collect all these other souls that are owed to me. Right. Does that mean that I can run?
That's honestly, I thought the same thing. But that's the thing. I don't think he actually took their souls. He was like, if you don't go collect all these souls, I'll personally hunt you down and take your soul. I think is what it was. But that still begs the question, why didn't the devil himself just chase down all these people that owe him souls? It's like they're not even that far away. Like they're right outside our house. So if he can come to my house and take my soul, then why can't he do that for them? I don't know. But that's in a nutshell. That's the story. How do you feel about the story, Jonathan? How does it make you feel inside? Is it a good enough story? Do you need a story for this kind of game?
Not really, no.
That's how I feel too. I love story in games, but I don't think you need one for this.
Well, no,
quick, shout out to Justin at work. He's the one that keeps requesting that we play this. He told me how to unlock this optional secret boss thing here. One of the very first bosses in the game, during one stage of it, if you let the boss live, the crying onion specifically live, then a little like turnip or beet or something, I don't know what the hell it is, comes up out of the ground and adds a new dimension to this boss fight.
Oh, that's really cool.
Neat little hidden thing in there that he told me about. Yeah, because whenever I beat the boss originally, I just murdered the fuck out of this crying onion. But if you don't, he gets all happy and goes back away.
Same.
And then this little spinning vegetable comes up and murders the hell out of you. So, anyways.
Oh no, well that's no good.
Yeah.
Oh well, okay. So shout out to Justin. Thank you, Justin. That's pretty. That is really cool. So the gameplay, Christian. Other than the story, we pretty much covered the story, like we said. As far as we know right now, that is the story. The bosses that you fight during the game are souls that you're collecting for the devil. Either souls that have escaped him or souls that have just yet to pay up. You're collecting them for the devil, and you're fighting for your own very soul. And I know that the final boss of the game, excluding the DLC, of course, is the devil, excluding any special bosses as well. Is the devil. So, gameplay. Something else this game is infamous for, other than art style, which we'll circle back to a little bit. Gameplay, notoriously difficult. And lots of people around our age at this point in time, when this game came out, aren't used to this kind of game anymore, right? Like this kind of gameplay is something that was very common in the NES and SNES and even arcade, but this kind of gameplay isn't very common anymore. Lots of people weren't really used to this, and when it came out, there was just tons and tons of videos all over YouTube of people playing Cuphead as a sort of challenge on its own because it was so difficult. I remember that happening.
I would say that it was repopularized a little bit before Cuphead came out, right? You have games like Shovel Knight, just as probably the largest example, but there was another like Viking themed one I can't remember the name of that came out around the same time, and that were in this old school hard platformer kind of style.
Right.
But you're right. You're definitely right on that. And it is a hard game. And one thing I can't help but wonder, because we're a couple years late to playing the game. Anytime you fight a boss, there's an option of whether you want to fight a simple version or the regular version. I wonder, maybe someone who actually knows the game can comment on the video on YouTube or something, and let us know. Did they always have that choice, like an easy mode for the bosses, or is that something they added because of all of this game is too hard rhetoric that came out? Which I disagree.
Right.
The game is very hard, but I don't think it's
hard,
too hard.
But fair.
But I'm also
I was never frustrated.
No, me neither. There was only one time I died, and I was like, I don't know if I deserve to die there. Every other time, it was very clear where I fucked up. Like honestly.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like
it's got that
that's
Dark
the thing.
Souls
It's hard
sort of
but
thing
fair.
for it. Like,
yeah, exactly. But the controls are razor sharp. If we're talking gameplay, the way you're able to jump around and move and shoot and like parry and dash and all these little moves that you can do. I mean, it's a great part of the gameplay. It is something that I was actually talking with Justin about before I played the game. I was talking about gameplay loops that feel what am I trying to we were talking about like cheesing bosses and stuff like that. Oh, moves that you feel like you have to master in a game and in order to progress. I think I might have been talking to you about it as well. Talking about like Super Mario Odyssey.
with the hat, like having to be
the
able
hat
to
throw.
throw the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was afraid that the dash and the parry were going to become like that, where it was going to be like immediately if you didn't know how to parry or you didn't know how to dash, you just didn't know how to play the game. Forget about it.
Right. Well, and in this boss
it wasn't
here. The one that's on
Yeah.
screen if you're watching live. I don't know if it'll line up in the YouTube video.
Uh-huh.
But you do have to parry, and actually it took me a couple of times to figure that out, that you have to parry the little handle of the slot machine that comes down to go on to the next stage. I was just trying to fight it like normal, just shooting the hell out of it.
Because it's pink.
And it does nothing
Right.
until you actually hit it. But yeah, on the gameplay part though, I mean, so for anyone who somehow has completely avoided it, it's like it's a side-scrolling run-and-gun shooter/platformer game, right? And that gets into my worry of it. Generally speaking, I'm not one for that style of game. I love platformers, but I don't really play much run-and-gunners. I don't really get into bullet hell games that much. So while I love the idea of the game with the classic cartoons and the beautiful art, the wonderful music, the old-school platforming fun, into all of that, I was a little bit worried about the actual combat, whether that would be for me or not. I'm happy to say that I am enjoying the hell out of it, though. Like Jonathan said, it's super tight. It controls very well. The only thing, there is a power-up system in this game as well. You collect coins in the levels. I think it's a maximum of like 5 per non-boss level. Which is something else I found a little bit weird, that the bosses are their own levels. Like, it's not you get to the end of the level and have a boss or anything. You just go to a certain section on the map, and there's your boss fight. Anyways, you collect the coins, you buy power-ups. So there may be a power-up to fix this, but there is one thing that I wish the game had that so far it doesn't. Double jump. I find myself constantly wanting to double jump, and you just can't. There's no option for it in the game unless it's a power-up later on, which is very possible. We've only played, a couple hours of the game, so we don't know all of the ins and outs yet. But I do wish there was that in the game. I think it would feel much better with that, because, like, to me, dashing over a pit or something like that doesn't feel intuitive to me at the moment. I imagine that's something that'll come as you continue to play. But double jumping over a pit, though, that comes to me instantly. So I have had a couple deaths, no fault of the game, but I have had a couple deaths where I tried to double jump over something, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, you can't do that in this game. This isn't a double jump kind of game. This is run, gun, dash kind of game. So but it's very tight, though.
I could definitely understand that. It is so razor tight. It controls so well. It's so fun to control the characters and to try to figure out exactly what needs done in each little situation. I remember I played almost 40 minutes on the stinking platformer level in the forest.
That's something else I found out. Some of the levels honestly are just as hard as the bosses, because the boss, like I said, it's just one screen, right, with your boss.
Well, that's what it is. It's the platforming levels. This game is a boss rush.
Basically,
you can just play the game and rush the bosses.
But like the platforming levels,
but
though,
you know what I mean,
right? The platforming levels, though, you have to make it through an entire level of enemies, and some of them are placed in ways specifically to make it difficult for you. Not cheaply like a lot of old school like Nintendo platformers or anything, but definitely in
this game
difficult
feels very
situations.
Fair.
And there's no health regen in the game unless, again, that's a power-up later on or something like that. But whatever health you go into the level with is the health you have. So, and from standard, you only have 3 hit points. That's all you got.
Right.
You can buy, I think 2 more is the max, so it's a maximum of 5 health points for the entire game.
Right.
But yeah, so if you mess something up early on and you take a hit, well, that sucks. You better do better later in the level, or you're screwed.
Right.
Oh, can I point out one other thing real quick that I really do like about the
Absolutely.
game? There are pits. There are death pits or whatever you want to call them, right? Just endless holes in the ground. But if you have health, you don't die when you accidentally fall in one. You jump back
just
out.
Bounce out.
You take a point of damage, but you bounce back out. I appreciate the hell out of that. That is one of my largest complaints for old school platformers, especially ones with combat elements where you get knocked back and stuff like that. Is so many of them will put an enemy right near a death pit, so every time it hits you, you just go straight into the pit and die instantly, and that irritates the hell out of me. But no, this game does have invincibility frames, and it does have that mechanic so you don't just lose whenever you go in a pit instantly.
Exactly.
Appreciate the hell out of that.
And how cool are the designs for all these characters?
I know. I've only done like 5 boss fights so far, but none of them felt repetitive in the least bit. They were all so unique from each other, even though it's a one-screen boss fight in every situation. But oh my god,
I know.
So good.
It's just incredible. It's incredible the design that they were able to pull off with all of these characters. The uniqueness to it, the just how different it is. It feels very classic cartoon, because that was what a lot of classic cartoons were. They were average, everyday objects that were blown up out of proportion. They were anthropomorphized, given human characteristics or capabilities, or they were given special powers or something like that. And this game exemplifies that perfectly.
It does.
I mean, it's perfect. I actually said that to Amber. I looked over and I said, I don't know that I've ever experienced this, but I think this might be a perfect game.
I don't know if I'd make that argument. The one thing
that's fair.
I enjoy hard games. I enjoy them. But I'm a big proponent of easy modes. I've brought that up many a time. I do wish there was some sort of how they have. I don't know how much easier the simple mode is for the bosses, but I do wish that was an option for the levels as well. Just for anybody who.
I wonder if it is, and we're not finding it.
That's a possibility. That
might be
well could be true.
Maybe it should be more apparent. That could be what we say. If it is an option, guys, and you can tell us down in the comments or something. But if it is an option, it should be more obvious, because I did look for it as well for the levels, because I know it says right when you pop up for the boss, like you said, normal or
regular, simple.
Regular or simple.
Yeah.
But when you do the level, that doesn't pop up. So is it an option that you have to change, or what's going on there?
What's going on with that?
Sure.
Yeah, just for people that maybe have some sort of disability, younger folks, etc. It's nice to have those options, or just people that aren't very good at video games but still enjoy playing them. It's nice to have those options for them. I don't think games should give up their challenge entirely. I think challenge is part of the fun of video games, and something a lot of them are designed around, aka your Dark Souls games and whatnot. But at the same time, I think games are a medium that should be able to be enjoyed by as many people as possible, and adding easy modes to things will aid in that. Like and it could be something as simple as a cheat menu, which again is maybe something that's in the game we don't know about. A lot of old games had that,
right?
And that's the sort of thing they could add to this. You go into a menu, you enable cheats, maybe you don't get achievements anymore or something along those lines, or maybe you get a sneaky little thing on your save file saying, yeah, you beat this game, but you did it in easy mode. You know what I mean? Like something like that, whatever.
Yeah.
I think but it'd be cool if you had extra health or I don't know, longer invincibility frames. There's little things they could do without changing the design of the levels too much to make it easier for people that
I think
maybe have problems with gaming.
Quick comment about that. Justin told me that if you do beat the game on easy mode, it doesn't unlock the harder mode.
Right.
For you to beat the game on.
That's pretty standard, and I think another reasonable thing. Because, why would you, at the end of the day, unlock the hardest mode when you play on easy mode?
You just beat the game on easy. They're like, oh, well, you clearly don't want a harder challenge.
Right.
You just played on easy mode.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it only unlocks if you play on the hardest mode that is available to you.
Right.
And you've already mastered that. That it's for when you've mastered what they have to offer you.
Right. Cheats are a thing that should just be brought back in games in general. Another thing that we've talked about a fair few times.
I think it would be
in
fun.
the podcast for single player games. Why the hell not? It doesn't hurt anybody. It's just more fun for the person playing the game, even if it is an unlockable style cheat thing or something. Like what Ratchet and Clank had, Jack and Daxter
or like
3 has, etc. Like
Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know what that one.
Just Lego games in general, I think, have some version of this. Your Lego studs that you collect are your currency. You can redeem those at the hub world for different power-ups. During the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of them are ridiculous power-ups. Like if you're able to collect 1 million studs or some crazy number like that, you can get invincibility.
That's fine
in the game.
That's fine. It's a single player game. If somebody wants to play through the whole thing with all of the challenge removed, all of the combative challenge removed, at least, let them.
Right.
It's a single player game. What do I care, man? Like, present the game
and then there's
there's
other ones
to be presented, with the normal mode or whatever. But then for the people that can't do it, give them options, man. Like, people are smart enough to understand that this you did this to yourself. It's super easy because you did this to yourself.
But then there's other silly ones like that just gives the characters mustaches or makes all their lightsabers brooms or makes all their lightsabers purple or stuff like that. A bunch of silly stuff.
Has anyone? You're a big Star Wars fan. Has anyone made a cut of the Star Wars films yet, where they're just like fighting the entire time with foam swords or brooms or something instead of lightsabers? Is that
I'm not sure, but I have seen a ton of people make cuts of other movies with other weapons and turn them into lightsabers.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
It's pretty popular to do with
I want to see people murdering each other with foam swords.
Right.
That's what I want.
That would be fun.
That's what
But there's not a ton of just outright murdering in Star Wars.
What? Why do you even like this series? I don't
I mean like I'm not going to say no murdering, but there's not a ton of murdering outright and like cold blood.
That's good.
It's always kind of in the background as a result of war or
when entire planets are being blown up and billions of people are being murdered. Always
stuff
just in
like
the background.
that.
But
it's never like one-on-one. Murder has a certain implication, Christian. It's not just death. It's not just
pretty sure
casualty.
Pressing a button to blow up an entire planet would count as mass murder. I'm not a lawyer.
No,
but I'm pretty sure
an expert
that
on intergalactic law. But yes, I would feel the need to agree with you there.
Okay. At least we see eye to eye.
However, you did specify with a lightsaber. And I'm here to tell you there's not a ton of lightsaber murder outright.
They didn't
there is a ton of lightsaber
through the planet. How large can a lightsaber be? Right?
How large can it be?
Yeah, they have like massive power supplies. Obviously, they're able to charge an entire Death Star. After all, if they took all the power generated by that Death Star and focused it into making a giant lightsaber beam, could they cut the planet in half with the wave of a lightsaber?
Sure.
Cool. This is what George Lucas needs to be working on, man. Not re-editing his films for the 1000th time. He just needs to be working on planet-destroying lightsabers. That's Disney. Get on it, man.
I don't remember. I used to know when I was a little bit younger and a little bit more nerdy. I used to just spend countless hours reading the expanded universe Wikipedia for Star Wars and learning all of the ins and outs about made-up technology and the non-canon ins and outs. By the way, like all of the shit from the expanded universe. After all, all of the expanded universe stuff that was on that Wikipedia was mostly stuff from novels and I'm sure some of it was fan fiction. A lot of it was from video games and comic books. So it was sourced from all over the fucking place, and it was just a mess. I mean, there was conflicting materials on different characters back and forth because nothing was canon. There was no respected continuity to anything. So there was just a ton of, no, this is how it happened. No, this is how it works. No, this is what, all that kind of shit. But basically, lightsabers, as far as I can tell, are powered by crystals.
Okay. Okay.
It's harnessing an energy of crystal to the point where that's become so commonly accepted as construction of a lightsaber that it was in the new movies, so it's now canon.
Okay.
And even back in the day,
But
there were
you say
toys that
powered by
had
the
lightsaber
energy
crystals.
of a crystal. So are we talking like magic crystal here, or is the crystal just an energy source? Can I power my home with
it's implied.
With a crystal?
It's implied, yes, that it is some kind of science fiction energy source.
Okay. Okay. So you could
rather
use
than
the power from the Death Star
magical.
theoretically to
Yeah.
create a giant. Okay. That's
although
just a quick reminder to everyone, this is a podcast about
this
Cuphead.
is a video game, a Cuphead podcast. But I also know, Christian, that the Death Star has a reactor.
Okay.
Both of them had a reactor at their cores, so they were powered by some material or energy reaction.
If you have a magical crystal energy source powerful enough to create unimaginable swords using today's technology, why not just use that to power your ship? Surely that would be a lot lighter than a nuclear reactor or two, or fission. Is it fission or fusion? It's probably fusion reactor to power.
Well, they use
harnessing the power
their
of the
space
sun
travel
in the middle of
is their space travel is kind of like magic too, because they don't use they use what would you refer to that as?
I don't know.
Hyperspace travel. Hyperspace isn't warp speed. It's not light travel. It's not light speed. Hyperspace is multi-plane travel. Like
okay, so where they're bending, like basically creating like a wormhole, bending space to arrive from point A to point B instead of going in a straight line. You're just jumping from one point to another.
No, that's warp speed.
Oh,
Hyperspace is opening a door in our universe and then arriving through a separate door in another point of our universe.
Yeah,
and in between
you're
in between you're not traveling through. You're not warping space around you. You're traveling through like a different dimension and ending up back in our original dimension. You're traveling through hyperspace.
I'm not a theoretical physicist, but I'm pretty sure the inside of a wormhole could be considered a different dimension. I mean, I guess what are the semantics of a dimension here? Like,
fuck it.
Because I mean, I could argue both ways, I guess. But
I've seen it explained. I'm sure if anybody out there, or even you, Christian, want to look up a video on the difference. I've seen it explained before. Like I said, I used to know more about all of this when I was a little younger and I had a little bit less going on to plague my mind. I was able to free my mind and just think about this kind of shit. But
see, I just don't do a lot of science. I love fiction. I love fantasy, but I'm not a huge science fiction person, right? I
love sci-fi.
Like Star Wars, I never got into. Star Trek,
never
got into it.
I've seen the original Star Trek a couple times. Star Trek TNG probably no less than a dozen times. I've seen from end to end growing
Cuphead up on the science fiction scale.
How would I rate Cuphead on the science fiction
I'm just
scale?
trying to bring it back to video game, specifically Cuphead.
Not at all, but fantasy, I definitely would. Cuphead clearly takes place in a Looney Tunes world where everything is a cartoon, and so everything is anthropomorphized. Most objects that the character... Yeah, any object that the character is not interacting with as an object could be a character themselves.
Right.
That brings it all the way back around to Cuphead, guys. Sorry about that very long diatribe that we had going on.
I have a picture in my mind of at some point in this game. I don't think this is a real thing. This is purely headcanon. But like they need to just zoom out the camera, and then it gets so far away eventually that you see the entire world, and then the world just opens its mouth and says something like that's all folks, or something like that. Like the entire world needs to be an alive,
that could be a
anthropomorphized thing. Like
anthropomorphized.
I can't
can see
words, man.
Anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
I can't either. I get it. It's late, everybody. It's nearly 2 a.m.
Nearly.
Everything's gonna be fine. So anyway, Christian, I told Amber, all right, that I thought this was a perfect game. I'm not saying it's my favorite game, at least not yet. I haven't played that much of it, but I did tell Amber that of all of the games that we've played so far on the podcast, I would say this one perfectly encapsulates our premise. I just want to play one more level.
I totally get that, honestly. So you would play just one more level. obviously. Was
I would
there
play
anything,
just one more level.
anything that you had a problem with in the game? Like any gripes at all with the game?
Not really. I mean, like I said, it's razor sharp. Every time I died, I was like, oh, that's what happened. That's what I did right there. I should do this instead. You know what I mean? And like, I was just having fun, just kind of running forward face first into it. And like, because like, I knew I was going to die. It's like, have you ever tried to play Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy?
Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy is a game.
The world's most frustrating game.
Sure, and it's designed to be that way.
Yes,
it's designed to be frustrating. And purposefully so, to send a sort of message, because the developer talks to you the whole time while you're playing the game, and tells you what he thinks is his message for making the game. Fuck him, whatever. Anyway, this game is not like that. But going into that game, it didn't frustrate me because I knew it was going to be frustrating and it was going to be challenging and difficult. And I knew that I probably wasn't going to succeed at first. And that's why I shouldn't care. I shouldn't place too much pressure on myself. I should just go face first into it, have fun, die a whole bunch of times, and then eventually come out the other side. And that's what I did for the first level. And I have almost beaten it.
Oh, yeah.
And I am going to continue playing the game until I have mastered that and move on. I would love to stream this game. I think it would be a ton of fun.
Do it.
Because it's fun and it's funny to just die over and over and then get like the most minorly frustrated at things going on around you in the level, but not like rage quit frustrated. You know?
Right. I also love the game. Obviously, I would play just one more level for sure. I'm struggling to come up with any gripes for the game myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
The only one is that I would like there to be an easy mode for people that struggle with games. I'm having a ton of fun on regular. I don't know. Like that's it. It's a very nitpicky thing. Oh, here's a very nitpicky thing that I do think could have been done a little bit better. The default shoot button is A on an Xbox controller, X on a PlayStation controller, right? That's pretty standard, I feel like. But at the same time, like you basically want to always be shooting in the game, and then you have to press like the B button to use your special attack, or Y to dodge, dash, whatever the hell they call it, etc. Well, I remapped it to the right trigger for the shooting, because then I can have my button, my thumb to press whatever button I want while just holding down the left trigger. And I would have loved if there was a option to just turn on auto shooting, like just fire forever, because there's no ammo to the game. There's no downside to constantly shooting other than the fact that you might kill an enemy that you didn't mean to, because you need to parry off of them to get a hidden coin or something. So I would have loved that option in there, but that extremely nitpicky. Love the game. Well, it's fantastic.
Something I did to get around that, I didn't have to remap. For some reason, it was just mapped that way. But shoot was square for me, and jump was X.
Strange.
So,
yeah, see, on PC it is not laid out like that.
Amber played this game before me, so it's possible that she remapped it without me knowing.
Maybe.
But yeah, shoot was square, jump was X, circle was special, and I didn't use the triggers or anything for anything.
Yeah, the triggers by default aren't used for anything at all.
That worked really well for me because I held down the square button and then rocked my thumb over to X, like my thumb knuckle over to X when I needed to jump, and that plays for me just like Super Mario Brothers.
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe it is square/X to shoot. Yeah, actually, I think it is. Sorry, I was misremembering. But I'm thinking specifically of like using the special fire button or dashing, right? It's a little bit harder to hold square and press triangle to dash than it is to hold square and press X, or to hold square and press circle to use your special.
That's true.
It's a little bit harder to do that. Yeah, but you're right. True. It is square by default, X on Xbox controller. Regardless, though, I do think the trigger is the better option. The only downside there is R1 is the button to stand in place and shoot if you need to like aim a shot. So it's kind of hard to hold the shoot button and press R1 at the same time, hold R1 at the same time, unless you're a two-finger L and R player. I've never met one in real life, but I'm sure they exist. But anyways, I found that control scheme a little bit more enjoyable.
But hey,
super nitpicky.
I mean,
awesome game.
That's super nitpicky, but they've even made a way around that They
Yes.
let you remap the controls.
Fully remappable, at least on PC. I don't know how it is on console. I only played it on, but
Right.
but yeah.
They let you remap the controls. So
Famously, Jonathan, before we got into this, said not to jinx it, but I don't think I have too much to say. I like the game, but I don't think I'm gonna. This has now been 42 minutes, so
42 minutes. Yes.
I don't think
we've gone over everything from current events to the power source of lightsabers.
Yes.
So
yes, fantastic.
here we are.
Here we are indeed.
So thank you everybody so much for continuing to watch and listen and support us, because you don't have to, but you do, and we appreciate it. Christian, what else can they do?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow us on all of the things. The links will be down below. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on Twitch if you really want, but that costs money, and I'm not expecting anyone to pay money to us.
Never.
What else is there?
Maybe someday. I don't know.
I mean, it's totally up to you. If you enjoy it and you want to, by all means, but no one's ever required to.
Right.
What was I going to say? Oh, there is one more thing. Jonathan and I, we don't know when exactly. It could be next week. It could be 2 months from now. I don't know. But we're going to switch up the format just a little bit. It's still going to be about video games. It's still going to be basically the same premise. Would you play just one more level or not? But instead of us covering one game together, we're both going to play a game, basically whatever the hell we want to play. And then we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk to the other person about it, like it, almost trying to convince them. Would you play just one more level, or the other way around? Would you, if the game sucks, explain all the reason it sucks and try to get the other person to agree with you or whatever. Basically, it's not a review. I don't like the word review for this stylus thing, because we're not playing through the entire game, so we can't give a true review on it. But basically, yeah, having a conversation about a couple games that we're playing. So small change to the format, still going to be basically the same though. I think that's pretty much it, man. That's everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
literally, we talked about everything tonight. So we're gonna go now. Our work here is done.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night, and as always, be kind to each other. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I can't find my mouse. Oh, God. Where is it? There you go. That's in the